Webinar is now live. Okay.
Okay.
We're ready.
Welcome everyone to our state Board of Elections meeting dated May 23rd, 2024, from starting at 2:01. I am Michael Summers, Chair of State Board of Elections, declaring a quorum is present. Are there at this time any additions to the agenda from members? All right, hearing none, seeing none. I would like to begin this proceeding by acknowledging and certifying our eternal gratitude to the work and demonstrative efforts by the State Board of Election personnel, our local Board of Election personnel that performed stellarly for this primary election period. It is not, I don't come with this with a light heart, a little heavy heart, because some of our members, one of our members who served to get us to this point, passed away during that process. I think we didn't lose momentum. I think it galvanized us to ensure their honor, to ensure that every vote counted and mattered. And we did that to their honor. And the member I'm talking about is Janet Millens. And I also recognize the board and their staff because they are a true team that is committed to providing the utmost professional services and assurances that are required for their purpose, which is our electoral process and ensuring that each of our votes are counted. Yes, we were met with some challenges, but because of their stewardship and collective responsibility, they were able to address them at the point of occurrence. And there are follow-up situations where we are engaged with the remedy and resolution to ensure that every vote counts in Maryland. And with that, if there's any other comments from the board to acknowledge our State Board of Election staff, please.
Yeah,
Floor is yours, Vice Chair.
Mind, just a moment. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think I ever cease to be amazed at, as I move about the state and I talk to both election officials and voters, but particularly with the election officials, how impressed I am with their diligence and the quality of people and their commitment to the electoral process and to a fair and honest election. And I can't say thank you enough to, not only the people at the state board, but of course, every single LBE, and then every single day or multi-day election worker who helps administer the election. Thank you. I went to a few places and got to say thank you during early voting. And again, I am unbelievably impressed with the people that we work with. And thank you for another positive experience and for the voters in Maryland.
All right. And with that, we are moving on the agenda for approval of our minutes, open and closed meeting. For 3/21/24, there were three members here currently present for that. And I, the chair, am open for a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous. It is approved. Open meeting 4/24 minutes. The chair is seeking approval Have those minutes been reviewed? Any questions, concerns, edits? Hearing none, seeing none, the chair entertains a motion to approve the minutes for 4/24/24.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
it's probably seconded. It was moved by member Weissman, probably seconded by Vice Chair Volt. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is moved. Thank you very much, unanimous. Now we are on to number 5, which is on the agenda, the State Administrator's Report. Jared?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to go over some announcements and important meetings. First up, we had a great voter outreach campaign. It was very successful for the presidential primary election. I can't speak enough of the dynamics of the web page, the ad campaign that was informing people on how to register to vote initially, then the methods that are available to them, whether it was by mail, early voting, or on election day. And as the deadlines changed, so did the messaging out to it. It was, I think it engaged a wide swath of both gender and ages. So it was very good. We can, once we get a full report from KO Public Affairs, we'll pass that along to you, seeing that. But it was I think, a very successful outreach campaign, different from other ones in the past. A lot of positive feedback from that. Along the lines, even I tried to do my own little outreach along the way there with you know, trying to do my own personal videos on Twitter and on formerly known as Twitter and on Instagram there. And, you know, I had some fun with it. It was great. And I think that also brought some new enthusiasm to the election as well. That was not there. So, but, you know, I was very impressed and very happy with that. On May 3rd, we had a delegation from the Democratic Republic of Congo here. We gave a nice overview of the voting process from management. We had Alan, Melissa, all for Jen explaining our processes about how Marylanders vote, the differences, mail-in voting, in-person voting. Then we gave them a tour of an early voting facility as well as a drop box. So they get to see that, you know, what it was for a drop box under 24-hour surveillance, early voting. They were very happy and impressed with it, and then had lunch downtown Annapolis. On the 14th, I had a member from the European Parliament Liaison's Office observe Election Day voting. He found it quite enjoyable, and the entire process was, you know, very illuminating for him. As you can see, the EAC has developed some election support technology evaluation program, and they released draft guidelines for electronic ballot delivery. Maryland's online ballot systems already comply with this guidance, so we were ahead of the curve. But, you know, we're always looking to make sure of any improvements for that delivery system there with security. On the budget front there, we have had 4 new positions for SBE, which is great. These largely focus on the recommendations from OLA report in 2023, and they will be recruiting very soon. You know, we're very excited about getting these positions to help fill these findings so we can keep on moving forward. Additionally, we've been granted a Chief Information Security Officer position, and we want to get that moving as quickly as possible as well. So we're very happy with the budget review with the administration on that. Just side note here, I visited multiple polling places as well to thank a lot to the election judges and observe the voting process. You know, it's a thankless job for those election judges out there. And it really, you know, their commitment to this process and making sure that all Marylanders have access to be able to vote it is the foundation of what we do. And I just, again, wanted to thank them for all their work. And this week, I also went up to Baltimore City to observe the mail-in ballot canvass and that process up there. It was, there's some highly contentious races. Just wanted to lend my support, talk to the board, answer any of the questions up there, and address any of the issues that were resulting from discrepancies from what we discovered in our audits. It was very well received to moving forward with it. We have our next election directors meeting scheduled for June 20th. So that gives the election directors some time to take a little breath before the next one there. And, what's it called? It's that old saying, like, once the clock hits zero, right? It's like reset the clock, there's another election. So, yes, there's a little bit of time, but we have to start, as soon as Friday kind of rolls around and the local board certify, we have to start gearing up immediately for the general.
So Jerry,
Yeah.
During that, are members, are we allowed or permitted to attend your election directors meeting?
That's more internal stuff. I don't think that it's, we usually give minutes to you guys about what's going on, but that's more in the weeds and more day-to-day operations and not necessarily policy driven. Whereas you would set the policy and this would be more for the implementation of said policies. So the election reform and management, we have a couple of updates from the 21st here. We have just, this is all available on our website here, but overall, we have had requests for delivery by mail. We had over 555,000. You can see the stats there. One of the bigger things here is that there was a drop from 2022 general election for mail-in ballot requests via web to this election here. It was about a 2%, 3% drop in requests for that. And right now, what we've sent out and what we've received back is about at 66% return rate right now. And, as one of the big things too with mail-in voting that I noticed was that this was also the first time where mail-in voting, more ballots were received by mail-in votes than cast on election day. And so it's interesting to see the popularity shift of this. And I can't wait to really dig into the data, because one of the things too, which the General Assembly did, was create that permanent mail-in ballot. So we now have a certain segment of voters that will always want to have it this way for every future election. So it's no longer guesswork of like, oh, there's a spike or not a spike based upon it. You can kind of start planning it. And I think that this is one of these things that in the 2025 General Assembly session and forward, well, we need to have some more serious conversations on where Marylanders want to take elections, how we want to move forward with elections in the future, because Marylanders themselves have made a significant, I would say, announcement on which method they've chosen just by showing, the numbers here. So I did not expect election day to be less than mail-in ballots, but that's where that is. And I think that I continue into the general as well. One of the newer things that we did was curing by text. As of the 15th, we had 24. By today, I think we were up, Katie, what was it, up to 42 today that we've cured, or 64 today? 61. So as you can see, in less than a week, and we figured this, right? The popularity of curing by text has been a boon for people to kind of, cure their signatures. And by the way, curing by text means like they forgot to sign the oath for the mail-in ballots. And this was a means of getting them to sign before the certification in order to count these ballots. So, it was, this is using technology to help voters, be enfranchised. The election. Yeah, sure.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Going, policy wise going forward, and I know some of this may require some legislative change. But as we see the increase in mail-in voting, and all of our formulas based on the number of voters per precinct are based on not mail-in voting. Do you see that being impact in the future where we can maybe save some money going forward because we need a few less precincts based on the amount of voters?
I think that's where we have to have this serious conversation with the General Assembly. And now that we have two data points, I think, and I've said this, to the press as well, 2020 was a seminal year in elections because, COVID, but it really increased the popularity of mail-in voting. And it opened up people to this system that was like, hey, this is kind of new. We didn't know the impact of that until 22. And then it's just usually, is this the outlier? This is the first one here. Now we've had two post-COVID elections, and I think the key to this was the creation of the permanent mail-in ballot list, because now all of a sudden we know a significant number of individuals that want to get this method here. And with it, that they're going to get their ballots 43 days prior to the start of the election. And we have to do confirmations, in July to remind them like, hey, you're on this permanent absentee ballot list. You're going to get a ballot relatively soon. I think that this is a part of the overall conversation. And I think the more we've given data to the General Assembly, that then they can, look at and say whether or not we want to go more towards more mail-in ballots. Do we need to have all these precincts here? Because it's not just a resource and fiscal impact on the state, but there's also the campaigns that have to deal with this as well. So this is not just done in a vacuum. And I welcome those conversations with real data.
So we'll look at that really carefully after the general election.
Yes.
We're gonna have to, because I think the fiscal for the primary is, really bad for the taxpayer. But if we look at it afterwards, I think we can make better decisions.
Can I, Mr. Chair? And going off of Mr. Velpson, yes, I think the General Assembly needs to take a look at coming from prior positions. I think the General Assembly will probably look at this and try to balance it with access to the polls. Ultimately, it's not a decision we get to make. It's theirs. And I think, Mr. Demaritis is saying is we can give them the data and try to help guide them. But, we'll kind of see what decisions they end up coming with. I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation to watch. Two other things. Number one, I was curious if we can just see a sample of the text that gets sent out when folks are curing by text.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit of the screenshot scripts.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I think we can send that to everyone. I had to approve it, so yes.
Perfect.
I know it exists.
The second thing is I wanted to give you a shout out because you got an award for best T-shirt from a Montgomery County blogger. And I don't know if you've seen the vote T-shirt that our administrator had, but Anna Pignucco in Montgomery County awarded you with best T-shirt on election day. So
It was one of the first times I've been in this business over 18 years as an administrator, and before that, never made any lists. So.
No one's talked about Jared Demaritis and style in the same.
Exactly. So I'm quite happy to make making some stylish improvements to election administration. So I'm setting that bar high across the 50 states now.
When the black tie ceremony comes up for the issuance of that award, please let me know.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
Attend.
Mr. Demaritis will be wearing a tuxedo T-shirt.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we always have to have a good one there. So, yes, no problem. So now back here, we are beginning our election judge recruitment, and for the general election. Along the lines there, we're also going to try to, because of some of the recent changes for 26, where we're going to have to do more of an ad campaign. So we're going to try to also survey some of these judges to find out why they are judges and what we can do to help recruit more judges along those lines there. The post-election audits are continuing here. Right now, we're doing Clear Ballot Audit, which is, an independent software, basically making sure that tabulating the ballot images. And that has to be done prior to the local board certification, and that is in process right now as we speak. The voter registration period here has opened, and we are going to, it will not open until May 28th. And so once that occurs, we will start processing all the applications in there. And the advanced voter registration deadline for the general election is October 15th. You have some of the same day voter registration numbers there, which I always find great because we have a lot of new voters that took advantage of the system that otherwise would have been shut out. And, we are performing our audits and moving forward with it. We are, processing the ERIC data as we speak and making sure that our rolls are up to date and ready for the November election as well.
Question about that.
Sure.
We had begun trying to implement, we had some ups and downs on it with the MVA role for the non-ERIC states. Do you know where that stands?
So the non-ERIC states, basically, ERIC gets all their data from just those states and then puts it in there. So if you're not an ERIC state, then we have no MVA data from them on that.
But we were going to use the MBA list for the surrendered license list through the MBA, and I'm just wondering where that.
I'll double check on that process there. Yes. Yeah, because it was it was getting that extra data for the surrendered licenses for Maryland.
For the non-ERIC states.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
How many states does ERIC represent?
Right now, it's I think it's 25 states or 24 states. There has been some states have been leaving ERIC for political reasons, and so there's less states now that are in there. Most notably, the one that hurt the most for us was Virginia. I mean, that had a significant impact on our.
And if we had any luck of trying to create some sort of relationship with Virginia outside of ERIC, I know it's been near impossible.
Because it's also it's not just creating the relationship, but then it's getting the data, processing the data, making sure it's correct, and then having the expertise not to just, that was the whole point of having the collective out there, because it wasn't just saying, Jared DeMarinis. It was meeting up different data points as well to make sure that, because at the end here, what you're talking about is a person's right to vote, and you want to make sure that it's 100% correct rather than, 90% correct.
Yes, one other question. For the election judges, and I know I feel like I ask this every election, or every meeting, how did turnout go for election judges in terms of turning out during early voting and election day? And then I know we're a bit ahead, but how are we looking for recruitment in terms of November?
So I think recruitment in November, I'll answer the latter first, is going well. Because usually when a person signs up in the primary, that they have that ability or want to do it in the general as well. And then we kind of tell them that we need them to do both. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't drop off or anything else. So, we are going to start making sure that you've made this commitment or you're back for that. As for the turnout on election day and during early voting, it was normal. You had a couple of
some flakes.
Right. There's always that there,
Sure.
But I think that there was a lot of judges, and this is why you kind of prepare and over prepare for election judges. We had a lot of people that were like, when I visited, I'm bored. And I'm like, you're an election judge. This is a good thing to be bored, because if there was only one of you and you were swamped, you would be coming in and being like, I need help. So you'd rather have more than less. And so But overall, no, the polls, opened, timely. We always have a little bit of issues here and there, but, as you can see, polls closed timely because no one went to court and everything else. So, yeah, exactly. So right now, on the candidacy and campaign finance portion of things here, I think the biggest thing here is that we had a pre-report that was pre-primary report that was due on May 3rd. 77% filed timely, and then the rest will be getting assessed penalties. The public financing program in Baltimore City, we had one candidate that received the maximum contribution. There was 4 certified candidates. And right now we'll see if one candidate will continue on to the general election or not, to see if that goes over there. There's no changes at the state level, and the enforcement was just, these were some civil penalties that were, and the matters were closed. For information system technology and cybersecurity here, we are moving forward with the new poll book project, so that we are still planning to continue this plan through the presidential general and the 26th gubernatorial election cycle, and if there's any special elections, possibly in 25. We always have to be aware of that technically now. So we have the new voting system project is fully staffed, and we're drafting the RFP. So those are ongoing. The CRIS project, which is the campaign finance reporting system, that is, been reviewed by an OSP here is the Office of State Procurement. Just to let you guys know, not the Office of the State Prosecutor. And the edits are underway so that everything is looking forward to, and on track for that as we move forward with it. We have some cybersecurity, and you will be briefed in closed session about some of that as well. Procurement. We have the active procurements here that are ongoing, and what is brought in front of BPW. There's just a lot of information there, but if there's any questions, happy to answer them. And as we move forward with the project management portion of it as well, the central warehouse was supporting the elections. We've received everything back from all the drop boxes, equipment that was delivered. Russell and his team of regionals have been doing a fantastic job moving forward with it. We have, it's moving it out, moving it, and then bringing it all back in, getting it ready then for November. And we have the inventory audit that is being conducted as we speak. The local board news, not much except for that they've been completing, primary elections and moving forward there, and that they've been, doing yeoman's work there. And we, like we said, we're extremely proud of all the work that they've done because they're the ones that make the election happen, not necessarily the state board. And with that, I submit my admin report, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead.
I feel like as always, I just wanted to just say thank you again for your work in the primary. It's I feel like this is one of the smoothest primaries many of us have experienced and put in the work beforehand, and it clearly showed on election day and election night. So just thank you.
I appreciate that, and it's mostly the staff and everything else.
Oh, no, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone but you.
I just wear nice t-shirts. I just go for photo ops. So that's my big thing.
I think we should vote to make a requirement that at the next meeting, he wear that T-shirt.
I could.
Thank you for your recommendation.
It dies for like.
Exactly.
Didn't hear a motion. So thank you. Now, thank you very much for that report, State Administrator. And now we're on to the Assistant Attorney General's report.
Good afternoon, members of the board. There are, again, 4 active cases, 4 active instances of litigation in which the board is involved right now. I'm going to start out by apologizing because in revising the list, I left out the number 2. So the numbers read 1, 3, 4, 5. But there's only 4 suits right now. I'll go through each in sequential order. Sullivan v. Summers, the Office of the Attorney General filed a motion to dismiss in that case in early March. That motion to dismiss has been fully briefed. It's received a response and the Office of the Attorney General replied to the response. It's now in the district court's hands. So the district court, the federal district court will decide whether or not to dismiss the case or how to dismiss the case if it does. And once that happens, the litigation will either continue or it will not, but it will not move forward until the district court makes its decision in that case. The Wacomico County branch of the NAACP versus Wacomico County, again, that the State Board of Elections is involved as essentially the target of the order. It challenges the apportionment plan at Wacomico County, which the State Board of Elections does not set. The county sets that, but in order to conduct an election according to that apportionment plan, the State Board must be involved in the suit. The Office of the Attorney General filed an answer to the complaint in late March. Currently, the other defendants in the case, including the County Board of Education, the County Board of Elections, all owe answers to the court by mid-June. And then once those answers are filed, the case can continue moving forward. The third case is currently, the next 2 cases are currently at the appeal level, Gibson versus Frederick County. That appeal has been pending almost a year, not quite a year, 9-10 months. But that is the allegation of a RICO conspiracy made against 21 counties in Maryland. That has been fully briefed. The Fourth Circuit now has it and has had it since January. Whenever we receive an opinion, obviously we will conclude what we need with that case. And Maryland Election Integrity versus the State Board of Elections. Last time I briefed you, that was an active case in the federal district court on May 8th, about 2 weeks ago. The federal district court dismissed the case at the request of the Office of the Attorney General. So that is a win for SVE. The plaintiffs in that case have appealed that decision, the district court's decision, to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's been docketed in the Fourth Circuit. We do not yet have a briefing schedule for that case.
Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns regarding the litigation pending? All right. Thank you very much for that. Now, on deck for the board to consider is the approval of item number 7, approval of waiver request Title 13. Has everyone had the opportunity to review those, the Title 13 requests?
Yes.
Everyone seen them? Is there any questions regarding? Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the approval of the waiver for requests regarding Title 13.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor of approving Title 13 waivers, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Thank you. Moving on to number 8, approval of waiver request Title 14. Has all the members reviewed the request for waivers regarding Title 14 statute? Are there any questions or concerns of the State Board of Elections staff? No. Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept the approval of waiver request for Title 14.
So moved.
Is there a second? Probably second. All those in favor indicate by raising your hand. It is so moved. Unanimous. Now, with regards to the confidentiality request, it is on its letter undisclosed. We are not allowed to disclose what it is we have reviewed. Have you had a chance to review that request for confidentiality from state prosecutors?
Mhm.
All right. All those in favor of the allowing or approving the confidentiality request? I think it was only one. Please indicate, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All those in favor indicate by raising your hand. Approved. Thank you very much. Moving on, and it is unanimous consent for the confidentiality request. Thank you. Number 10, LBE Board Bylaws.
So CJ is on the line. If we can unmute CJ.
It's just cover.
This is just basically, we've reviewed it.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
I'm here.
All right. Thank you very much. We are on the agenda item dealing with the local board of elections, board bylaws.
So presented before you, there are 6 local board bylaws, all of which we recommend approval. All of these bylaws either adhere to our bylaws models exactly, or in the case of any variance, they've provided satisfactory explanation for those variances.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or concerns?
Like to make a motion to approve these 6 local bylaws.
So
Do you
move.
want to
Second.
announce the names? It's
Yeah, yeah.
Calvert, Caroline,
Okay. no
Kent.
problem. Oh. we
Sorry,
will-
it's Culver, Caroline. Gotta give that local
Yeah.
shout out.
Right.
You know. Kent, no,
Prince
that's still
George's.
Prince George's. Yeah, I think so. St. Mary's.
Yeah.
And Washington County.
Yep.
So those 6 counties.
Is there a second? Thank you.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of the LBE board bylaws, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent to approve. Thank you very much. And moving on to old business. Now, we had this on the record, and it is a discussion of the delegation of duties. Is there any,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just propose that we just move this until we have a full 5-member board. So if we can put this off to the next meeting.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have a problem.
That's fine.
Thank you very much. We ask that that be pushed to our, held in old business until we have a complete.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. As a placeholder.
Yeah.
Now, is there any new business? All right, hearing none, seeing none, we are honored to have with us today a speaker. And we are, for the agenda, asking them to come forward today. We have with us Senator Cheryl Kagan.
Yes, up here. Is this okay? Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know where I should look or how I should speak.
Oh,
Are
you're
we
fine.
good?
Years.
All right. For the record, Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville, the vice chair of the committee that oversees election laws, as well as vice chair of the National Council of State Legislature, National Conference of State Legislatures, Ethics, Elections and Redistricting Committee, and the Democratic State Legislator on the Election Assistance Commission, which is a federal commission that no one's ever heard of, but works with the National Institutes of Standards and Technology and oversees election administration. I'm here with several different things. Before I start, I want to congratulate new board member Diane Butler. And it's great to see Katie Berry here, who I haven't seen now that she's officially SPE. And thank you for all you do. I was finishing up a meeting and so I missed some of the conversation. But Jared, thank you to you and your whole staff, the entire board. I do think things went really smoothly this year and we have a long way to go. So I want to talk about a few things and then, so I think many of you know that I sponsored 11 election bills this year. I think 8 of them got through the Senate most unanimously. Unfortunately, they were not all well received on the House side. So some of them we're going to have to come back with, but I think we passed 4 or 5 important bills, including redoing recount, addressing the Electoral College, which was an emergency bill, and some other stuff that we had to get done right away. We continue to be, and I will speak for myself rather than the whole General Assembly, obviously, but I continue to be prepared to be your partner, ally, sounding board, and I appreciate you all being my sounding board as I work on drafting legislation. Although we're only in session for 90 days, the whole year is a conversation, preparation, debrief, wrap up, and research. And so I will continue to do that. Next week I am going, or the week after, I'll be in Kansas City for just 18 legislators at an election policy national conference. So I'm looking forward to bringing anything that's on your mind to the national level. And Eric, the Electronic Records Information Center, continues to be a concern. So I was glad to hear you all talking about that. I believe that New York and California have both added, which was important, or they were in the process of being added.
They're in the process.
Which is a big deal, but for losing Virginia and others for political reasons is really disappointing. And so if people want to have accurate voter rolls, we need to be able to know when someone retires, dies, moves, or re-registers in another state. So it is perplexing to me why that is not universally embraced. As some of you may know, I sponsored a resolution last year at the NCSL National Conference on ERIC, on this voter database issue, and it was put on the consent calendar, which means it was approved and adopted unanimously, and it called on Congress to take action, because that sure would be the easiest way to do it, is to create a national voter database. So there's not states opting in and opting out, depending on who their governor is or who controls their legislative bodies. So I continue to be interested in that. The first reason that I really wanted to be here, as I've talked to Jared and some of you about, is the live stream of the canvas. It concerns me, and my understanding is that Montgomery County is the only county, the only LB, Local Board of Elections, that is live streaming their canvas. Now, during COVID, everyone did it. It was far from ideal. The cameras were, 12 miles away and you couldn't actually see what was going on, but the concept was there. And as we have election deniers and conspiracy theorists and, ooh, she's stuffing the ballot box, or he's changing the votes, or whatever, I think transparency is our friend. Delegate Mark Corman and I have worked together and passed a number of transparency bills for state government. And frankly, we started with SBE, which didn't used to be as transparent. But under Mr. Demeritus's leadership and with those laws, there's a big improvement. But the problem is that the laws that we've passed covers SBE, but not the locals. And so it's kind of a loophole, and we need to, in my opinion, make sure that as it can be done easily and inexpensively, that all canvases at all county levels should be live streamed. Mr. Weissman, you look perplexed. I'm happy to engage now or afterwards, whatever's your preference.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, we'll.
Okay, all right, then I will just keep going. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that is something I've already talked to Delegate Corman about. I think we will be coming with legislation, and so early heads up, happy to work with you about that. When I went to the canvas and spent a few hours there the other day, and I think, as always, there's so much that goes well, and there are always questions and suggestions that are either whispered in my ear or presented. So I just am going to run through a bunch of things really briefly, and then we can have conversations another time, because I am not looking to extend your meeting too much. The question of identifying marks, stray marks, identifying marks on a mail-in ballot continues to be an issue. If I were to sign my name on a ballot that I've cast during early voting or in person, it would be anonymous. It would, the scanner and stuff. But once people are opening an envelope and pulling it out, and we don't want my signature, my name, or any identifying marks on the ballot that compromises confidentiality. And there are, I was at the canvas when someone printed out their internet delivered ballot on colored paper, which I've never seen before. So mine is the pink ballot or the blue ballot. We just don't want that. So it was suggested that SBE consider whether it's regs or whatever has to be printed on white paper. Don't sign your name. Put that on the ballot instructions. Put that in lots of places. The canvassing and the curing and the curing by text, I was hearing that that was well received, and I'm eager. I heard you start to report on that. I'm
Yes.
eager to continue to hear more about that. Several colleagues and LBE staff have already talked to me about the number of early voting sites, the number of days, the number of hours. It really was crickets when I went in to vote. And I vote early voting because I like voting in person. But I was literally the only person there when I went to vote at the executive office building. So I think we want to make sure that the franchise is accessible, but I think taxpayer money and the challenges with staffing that Board Member Weissman brought up, I think are, competing interests. And so how to do that. And as the numbers continue to increase for mail-in ballots, I think that's something that the board and the General Assembly will want to have conversations about. I will suggest, though, that we don't want to act or even conclude in our minds prematurely because we still are collecting data. 2020 was a different can of worms, and this year people are still sort of deciding and setting up a rhythm. So there wasn't, many voters didn't see this as a hotly contested primary unless they were in the 6th congressional district or probably the 3rd. But if they weren't paying that much attention to the Senate race, the Democratic Senate race, and I don't know how they could avoid it, but I don't know how many people were feeling the compulsion because the tops of the ticket were not contested. So I think we ought to get more data, but then I think that's a good conversation. Mr. Weissman, I heard you talk about judge recruitment. I am interested in hearing about how that went with the increase in pay that the General Assembly authorized. I do want to put on the table the concept of shift work, that in some counties, I have heard that would be very well received. Election workers, or frankly, at any age or any levels of abilities, a 14, 15, 16-hour days is brutal on kind of anybody, but certainly some of our most senior folks who've been doing it a long time, we lose them. And so in Montgomery County, they do have, you can work half day or full day. And I think that's a conversation worth having. And whether we specifically need to authorize it, maybe have differential in pay, not just twice as much, but a bonus if you can. I don't know what that looks like, but I do think that if the day is less long, I think it might be easier to recruit better. Chain of custody continues to come up. The bipartisan teams going to the drop-off boxes, scanning, putting them in the truck, getting them from the truck to the location, putting them maybe from the location to the canvas location. Those boxes move around a lot. We want to make sure there are always bipartisan teams, that there's always security tape, that there are cameras and all that. Especially, and now I'm going to pivot to municipal elections. I think our municipalities have different levels of sophistication and capacity and oversight. And I suspect that the state board doesn't want to start getting too deep in the weeds. And I know that the locals totally don't want to, but I think we need to make sure that we are amping up the quality and accountability in our municipal elections. And I had a lot of concerns in Rockville's elections last year, and we don't need to go deep in the weeds on that, but FYI. I got good feedback on the tracking of people's ballots. I think the quicker scanning in that we added to the law was well received. Oh, my ballot was counted today. I got really good feedback on that. The tracking of provisional ballots, the reasons for provisional ballots, which didn't move legislatively, but you asked that people do that. They didn't find that onerous, and it was because this isn't the right precinct, or they moved, or it's not the right party. That was easy, and there were hashtags and all that, so that worked. A few more things. Montgomery County, and I don't know whether other jurisdictions did, Montgomery County sent an email to every voter who had requested an internet delivered ballot saying some version of, and obviously not with this tone, but are you really, really sure you want to vote this way? Do you have a printer? Does it have toner cartridge? Do you have a number 10 envelope? You're going to have to put a stamp on it because it's not the internet, and there are so many problems, and it's so hard for the voter then it's so hard for the local boards of elections and watching them need to duplicate in bipartisan teams and duplicate from somebody's home paper to a ballot that can be scanned, and they just don't know what they're asking for. And so when that was explained, I would be curious, Jared talked about how there was a drop off in the request numbers. I would be curious whether the education of the voters in Montgomery County helped, and whether if we tried that everywhere, whether we could reduce that onerous choice. And for voters who need it or want it, it's a great option because suddenly you have to go out of town, grandma's in the hospital, I was going to vote tomorrow, but I can't. And that's great to have that option. But for people who think it's going to be click, click, click and send it back, we need to disabuse them of that and we need to educate them. So I'd love to continue to be in that conversation. Curing by text. Thank you for that. I will be curious once everyone is certified, counties with waivers for pre-canvass. I just wonder whether they were able to get all their ballots canvassed in a timely way. So how did the waiver work, which we authorized legislatively, and did that go okay? And then this can wait, or I can do it now.
That can wait.
That can wait.
Yeah.
So that's throwing a lot of stuff out there, but thank you for your attention. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for listening to some of the issues that I've been hearing about.
Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your commitment to our efforts. Efforts here. They are truly appreciative of all your commitment and insight. Thank you. And we do look forward to working with you as well as the General Assembly to move, what we like to term the good for our citizens. Any other questions or concerns? I know you.
I'll talk off.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently my poker face is not.
If I could just say real quick, I've been working with you for the last 5 years. It's been a pleasure. Consider you a friend. And I had a bunch of comments I typed down. I'll save this document and
Perfect.
take some time offline to talk through a few thoughts.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Back at you.
And the same, I've taken a lot of notes and there's a lot of things to discuss things that you brought up. Especially the, rewriting that definition of a vote paper. That's been terrible for many years and does need to be rewritten. So, but there's other things and I will go ahead and get back with you on those.
I look forward to it with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you for being here. Truly.
Wait at the table for a minute.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for your graciousness. We also recognize or would like to recognize our distinguished colleague, someone who I consider a mentor in this role. Our vice chair, Bill Volt, has served this great state and the citizens of Maryland with honor, distinction, and clairvoyance. And we are so grateful for it. I am honored to present you with a recognition, a resolution from the Maryland General Assembly. Be it hereby known to all that the Maryland General Assembly, which I'm honored to present, offers the sincerest congratulations to William G. Volt, Vice Chair, State Board of Elections, in recognition of your outstanding, nonpartisan leadership in ensuring the integrity, security, and accessibility for all Maryland voters. The entire membership extends its best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution be presented on this 23rd day of May 2024. All distinction. Thank you so very much.
Basically speechless, which is not often for a speaker.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah. Before you get to speak, Mr.
exactly.
Vice Chair, So I could have been here on Zoom, but I needed to be here for you. So I asked the Senate President to do that, but I wanted to bring my own Senate citations. It's presented to Bill Velp. It's from the Senate of Maryland. Thank you for your service to the State Board of Elections. It would be I'm a punster, a conservative statement to say that you have made our elections even more fair and transparent. It has been a true honor to work with you. And it is dated this day, May 23rd, 2024, and signed by me, Cheryl Kagan, District 17, Gaithersburg and Rockville. Thank you, Bill. You have been phenomenal.
Like, we're on the table. We're on the pit,
You can be, with all the candidate filings.
There you go, exactly.
Right. Yeah, so. Katie will be the photographer.
Get a chance. Make sure they don't say something stupid. It's been casual. You get a chance.
Okay.
I just don't want to see anything done.
Okay, so maybe after the closed meeting, I'll be the first thing to say like that.
I sat down was at a very early breakfast at a Double T in Pasadena. And I remarked to him at the time that I was used to early breakfast at that Double T because a former state senator, that was where he would go to mass at 5 a.m. and then would have breakfast at that Double T. And what I continuously couldn't get away from every conversation with Bill, aside from his love for the family on the compound, and his love for the O's, who are we're feeling okay about them right now, was Bill is old school, and I mean that in the best possible way. I've gotten to work for a lot of elected officials, and the ones who genuinely believe in collegiality, who believe in leaving partisanship at the door, who believe in disagreeing without being disagreeable, and the real fundamentals of political speech and political talk that we all believe in is something that Bill just models. Modeled, I got to see when he was chair, literally my second day on the job. I think we started candidate interviews for the administrator, which was a hell of a way to learn from him, and then as vice chair, and did not expect to say that I will miss him, not just as a colleague, but a friend. But I've really, really enjoyed this and have learned a hell of a lot from you, and just want to say thank you.
Thank you. That's, yeah, we can clap.
No.
Very kind. Totally didn't expect any of this. So, just about speechless. My service, which is probably now 13 or 14 years so far between the county board and the state board, has been truly an honor to serve the citizens of Maryland. Look forward to a continued relationship, doing that into the future. And I mean, I I truly, what I said earlier about continually being impressed by the people around me. I can't think of, all the board members we had through COVID and all the challenges through there. Truly, partisanship doesn't matter. And it was people working together. I am so impressed with everybody in elections. I love going to the Mayo and to the working with the LBEs because, like you said earlier, Jared, that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where elections happen. They're fantastic people who work so hard and care so much. It is an honor to be around and to be affiliated with truly with all the election officials. I am very moved by this and very thankful. But now I have to try to live up to something going forward that I'm not sure I can. So again, thank you and appreciate you all. Thank you. So
And Bill, I'd like to thank you for I'm going into my 9th year of working, through the local boards and state board and your leadership through Mayo also, because I've been able to speak with you many times for different areas that you were in. So I just want to thank you for the help and the advice that you've given me over the years. Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I am so honored to give you your flowers while you're here. And, you're not done yet, not even close. We have your number as well as, and we'll be giving it out. So thank you very much.
That's a threat and a
It's he's too valuable and he's sustaining the idea of what it takes to be a true citizen, because this is a volunteer. There's no money.
I tried. I tried.
And it's okay.
Right.
Even if it were, he would probably be giving it back to the state. But no, we thank you. And his commitment has been at a stellar high level because of that principle. And so thank you very, very much. I didn't want to leave that off because you definitely held true to that.
Very kind. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And with that, wow. Are there, and it's kind of hard to keep going after, right into, is there any disclosure of campaign contributions?
Right.
Thanks, folks, for entertaining us.
Yeah.
Done?
Done.
All right, excellent. Schedule, we're scheduling next meeting. I think we've already done that, Katie. Did we get a confirmation on that? No, we still need to look at that. I know the 20th is not good for me. So would the Thursday before or the Thursday after the 20th? Is that possible or doable?
The 13th, that Thursday, is only 3 weeks.
Okay.
But that's
We need a
also
little more
the state
time.
board of canvassers.
Yeah,
That's the board of canvassers meeting.
Oh, that is the Thursday?
Jared's going to be busy.
Yes.
I propose, I know it's not a Thursday. Could we do the following Tuesday instead of the following Thursday? The 25th instead of the 27th?
Vacation.
I will admit, I'm just thinking about kid pickup from camp.
Would that be
And then they'll-
online or in person?
That would be online, right?
Yeah.
That's virtual.
Yes.
I mean, we're online.
We don't oversee their elections.
Yeah.
No.
I can make it work. I can move this one meeting.
Yes.
25th?
Would that work for you, Mr. Chair?
That might be run by the deputy administrator.
Oh, even better. Oh my God, that's gonna be a great meeting.
Just to let you know, so it'll be much more efficient and I'll be on vacation.
Fantastic.
I'm going to be,
You have able bodies?
yes.
Okay.
He's got better bodies.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, I don't know about.
They just keep on feeding me the information as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
So 25th, folks,
Is
I think we're good on this end. 2:30. I like the 2:30 window. We're doing this virtual. So 2:30 work for
I
you
could do
guys?
2:30.
I can do anything. I'm going to move that meeting I have.
Okay, I'm clear on it. Okay, that's great.
When will
June
that invite go out?
25th on the 30th, and we can expect that invite 2 weeks prior. Okay.
Yeah.
soon. Soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
That works. So the meeting is set and scheduled. So now we are going to have a closed session, and we will move for adjournment of this and will not return for open session following the closed session. Okay, and with that, yeah, go ahead.
Is there a specific motion to,
I'll read it.
okay.
So we are moving to close meeting, 5/23/2024 at, well, we will have a 15-minute break. So I'm going to say right now we're at 3:00. We're moving pretty good. Can we say 3:30? Because I need some time. 3:30, guys? All right, so we'll be back here at 3:30 in person. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
Don't you need to give the,
Oh, okay, well, the meeting will be closed under general provision, Article 3, Section 3-305, to discuss, to consult, sorry. One, to consult with staff, to consider the marketing of public securities. I'm sorry, number 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, also to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending potential litigation, as well as to discuss cybersecurity if the public body determines that public discussion would constitute a risk to, 1, security assessments or deployments relegating or relating to information resources technology. 2, network security information, or 3, deployments or implementation of security personnel, critical infrastructure, or security devices.
to make the motion? So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and probably second for closed session. We will return back for closed session in 30 minutes. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It has been approved and unanimously approved. Thank you. And the chair now will entertain a motion to close for adjournment.
So moved.
And is there a second? All in favor, indicate by raising your hand.